everyone. Thank you for coming. I know it's not an easy time to leave the house or work, wherever, but thank you for being here. The film I developed based on my growing ups in Iraq, and it was shot fully and completely on real and historical locations inside Iraq. And the beautiful performances that you will see are brought by a cast of non-actors. This film was made with lots of love, labor of love, tears, laughters, and some blood, but figuratively and literally. I hope the film transports you to Iraq in 1990s and gives you an insight how it feels to live in that country in that time under sanctions, war, and dictatorship. Thank you again for your time, and hope to see you on the Q&A.
My name is Tim Gerson. I am the Senior U.S. Critic for Screen International. Thank you so much for being here. Please join me in welcoming writer-director Hasan Hadi. And executive producer Eric Roth. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, thank you so much, both of you, for being here. Austin, this is just a really beautiful film. And the first thing, you gave a brief introduction before the film started, but had you been wanting to tell a story about, it's not strictly autobiographical, but a story about your childhood, your memories of growing up in Iraq? Was there other versions of the story that you had been sort of thinking about and then decided on this one? Or what was sort of the initial evolution of how this story happened?
I think it was just literally, I just knew this is a story I need to tell.
Yeah.
There was no doubt or you know what I mean. And it was much easier because I'm writing about something I know. It was about characters, locations, themes that I was familiar with when I was growing up. So it was very much something I felt the writing of it was much more authentic and organic than I usually expect with writing features. But yeah, the film is definitely something you grow up with, and you also, I started writing, I realized this is the first time an Iraqi film discussed this period of history. It's 13 years of sanctions, 14 years of sanctions, and this is the first film that talks about that, Iraqi or non-Iraqi. And then you also, as an adult, you start having questions about childhood. You start recognizing self, and you start having, questions like, what does it incriminate us, when facing injustice? Does our silence do that? What is moral and immoral when facing injustice? And, when I wrote this story, it was basically two kids on adventure with their grandma and everything that unfolds of that.
In terms of your own experience growing up, my understanding is that you were not selected to make the cake. Another classmate was, but were you one of the other ones where you had to do the fruit, or in terms of your own experience? Yeah.
I was the flower boy. But teachers didn't really care about the flower boy. That was the good thing. I mean, they wanted something, but as long as they're not eatable, they don't really care. Even in the school, when the cake would come, usually the teacher would taste it and he's like, "It's good." Then he packs it and takes it to his family. Yeah. But I was the flower boy, and my friend was picked as for this birthday cake, and he failed to bring the cake, and he was expelled from the school, and he was recruited eventually to Saddam's Children's Army. And this was haunting me when I was growing up. What if it was me? What if I was picked for that? Because it was a matter of chance. It's a lottery. It's like, oh, the only thing was the chance that it was not picked, because if I was picked, I don't know how my family would be able to afford it, which is strange to say that because it's just cake, But remember, this is a time where cake required flour and sugar, but flour and sugar were banned in the country. So it's like a very sick joke, as the president is doing. Is like, go make me a cake that requires all this, but like anyone sells that will be in prison too. So, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, one of the things I think is so strong about the film is just this sense of, like you said, sick joke is a really good way of putting it. And it's almost the idea, like, of all the things to be chosen, this great honor of getting to make the president's cake is almost like a jail sentence, essentially. I guess I was also kind of curious about, you had mentioned also in the intro about working with non-professional actors. Now that everyone's had a chance to see the film, both of your main child actors are really, really exceptional. I wanted to focus first on Benin Ahmed Naif in terms of finding her. How did she come into your world? I love how natural she is. I feel like we talk about this a lot with child actors. She doesn't feel like a child actor. She has this natural feeling to her. I guess I was curious in terms of working with her, developing the character with her, and first of all, just finding her in the first place.
Thank you. I mean, early on, I knew that I will have to work with my actors because the Iraq lacks industry. So I knew we didn't have any acting schools for children. I mean, even the adult ones are very much outdated. You shouldn't expect so much from there. So I knew it will be a non-actor situation. But the problem is, it was so, like, we don't even have a casting director. So what really happened is, like, me and a bunch of friends really roaming streets looking for kids and other actors and see who's interesting. And this is strange because it's like, I started to realize children on the street. I'm like, oh, he goes to this school. I'm like, I've seen this kid before. So you got that degree of details. But like, you have Benin was the last character we cast in the film, and I saw 30 seconds clip of her, and she was amazing. Like, she was just saying her name and school and great, but like I just feel like, oh, this person can carry this film. We called the family; they were very much opposed to have their daughter depicted on the screen because she's coming from this conservative society. So it took a bit of explanation, convincing, and people are mostly scared from things they don't know. So for them, it's a camera, it's dangerous, it's all that. But like when we brought them and we, involved them in everything we were doing, we gained their trust and they became very supportive of having their daughter there. But I have to say, during this whole thing, like, I was very blessed because I had amazing support from Eric and Mori. I used to share even casting sessions, and one person, I wish she was here, Joan Darling. I met her in Sundance Lab. She was amazing, and she was like, you know who you're picking, you know how you're dealing with this, and she was amazing. But during all of that, I used those resources. Then I designed a workshop for them. But in the workshop, I didn't do any acting rehearsals because I didn't want to turn them into actors. So what I did, it was just them getting to know each other, I get to know them, and building a trusting relationship. And at the same time, I did some exercises, which is literally them playing games or telling some personal story or something like that. And there, I got to know them very much. But in the workshop, I gave them 2 rules. I gave them a couple more rules, but the main 2 rules was there is no right or wrong when you do something, because kids have the tendency to be, this is right, this is wrong, or he said the wrong line, he said the wrong thing, he should have done this. So I was like, there is nothing wrong or right, just to give them the feeling of freedom that everything is possible on screen. And the second thing was, until you hear cut, you're there, So those kind of things, really what they do is that they give the actor confidence and freedom to do what they want to do and don't feel that they're restrained. The second thing, you're allowing for happy accidents to happen on set. So for example, the scene when Hindi buys the paper, that was just a happy accident, but kids, any other kid would probably be like, oh, something wrong happened. The rooster did this, it shouldn't have done this. And we were very happy. Our prop master was not so happy because he had to do 100 paper the same thing. But we just knew that was the amazing thing that we captured on the camera. So those are the things that I was aware, but like the great thing, I had a very good support system, whether from people in my crew or like outside.
So let me just ask Eric, in terms of how you got involved in the project.
Michelle Satter to begin with, who Sundance Lab, and it was
Michelle is here. Hi,
Michelle's
Michelle.
here, one of the great creative geniuses.
Yes, she is.
It was actually a pandemic year, and I was on Zoom. Some people went, right, Michelle? But I couldn't go. Anyway, and we're assigned X amount of scripts to read and I was looking at and I read it and I said, oh my God, this is like, to me it was like a bicycle or something. It was really something so unique and special, and okay.
So you read the script and you were like, you're almost done. You should just think about the right thing.
Anyway, and then Meryl Heller felt the same way, and we just sort of teamed up to see how we could help. And as I say, Sundance was ridiculous. Michelle was helpful to help us get, people help finance and everything else. And the thing that's beautiful about this to me is with sort of the dour state of the industry in certain respects. This is like a miracle to me. That this has never happened. In my experience, I've been doing this for 60 years. That you have this, and then he made this beautiful movie. He really understood what he wanted to do, and he delivered it in such a great, I hope you feel, emotional way. And then he said to me, "What should I do?" I said, "I think you should send it to every festival on demand." And he said, "I will." And he sent it to Cannes, and I said, "Well, you're nuts." And he got in, and he's like, and then he won the audience award, and then he won first director award, and as I say, this is, and then and so many classics bought it to distribute it, and so it's the first film that ever came from Iraq to be in Cannes. And as I say, it doesn't happen. I know it seems now it could happen, but not, and to make such a lovely movie and have such attention. So that's, otherwise I've just been a fan and a supporter, and hope we get an CAA room and all this kind of thing. But and we're hoping that you'll tell people who will help it get shortlisted and see what happens with it, and obviously seen as much as possible. So this is all him.
I mean, I have to say, when you're writing, you have this dream, like, oh, you're gonna make this film, but it was a really pivotal moment, and I'm giving this a special shout out for Sundance Labs, because it was a pivotal moment when I got in. And suddenly I was like, oh, I can make this film. Because it's really hard to make film, but let alone that anyone you speak to, it's like, I'm making a film in Iraq. It's the first film. It's with children. It's not actors. It's animals, water, crowd, period. Did I tell you about period too? It's like all these things, but getting into the lab was such a pivotal moment for the whole journey of me as a filmmaker, as an artist. I had Michelle Satter. She was amazing. She's was such an angel and support champion of this film. And that's where I met Eric, and that's how I met Maury, and not only those people, but so many others that I feel like I belong to the community. And that's, for example, where I was encouraged to get this, film together.
One of the things that you have talked about is, you said this is the first film made about this period in Iraq's history, but also there was something you'd said I thought was really interesting, that when you were doing sort of historical period research, that it's difficult because there just isn't a lot of media or like photos of that time, which is not that long ago. This is set in 1990, that's only 35 years ago, but I was really, really struck by that. I guess I want to ask you more about just that period almost feels like it's been erased in a certain way. And so how did you sort of recreate a period? Is it mostly just going from your own memories? How did you do it?
So lots of it was literally going to your own memories, but at the same time, I also did lots of, as many photos I could collect, as many videos I could collect, all that. Because, you're also you're trying to do so many with so much, you know what I mean? And we had this amazing, resources, but like I really tried to be as faithful as possible. So for example, in the classroom, the painting that you see with the soldier in the wall, that's authentic painting of what we had in the classroom. Or like, for example, the flea market. It's, based on very much specific, we recreated moments from archive that existed in Iraq. But at the same time, it was also very important for me. I really was, when we were discussing the film, we were like, I wanted someone, when someone watches this film, thinks that we shot it in 1990s under the radar, and someone forgot it in the warehouse.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that many people feel like that, because one of the fun things is that, fun things now, we had the parade scene, and in the parade we had lots of extras and we had to dress them and all, which was a lot of work. But the other thing was, people have to shout, by blood, by flesh, we sacrificed for Saddam. And we did that, but it was triggering. We were scared in a way because it was triggering word for people. So we did like a couple of takes for sound like that, and with the photo, with the clip too. And then after that, I changed the word from Saddam to Haddam, just like the same pronunciation, but we changed the wording. And what happened is we finished the shoot, we went back to the office, and my phone is, buzzing, and everyone is calling, and I'm like, what's happening? And they're like, is this your film, or is this like Saddam supporters? Because all the news agencies in Iraq said Saddam supporters took over streets in Baghdad. And everyone, the opposition, the government was like, how is that even possible? Then the regional news stations picked up on it. And I was like, and we almost got, canceled, like the shoot. It's like, it was crazy, you had to fight this. So, but in the same time, you see the social media videos and people are saying, no, look at the clothes and everything. It's archival footage. It's not real. And it's like, oh, okay, people are really believing this is a period piece.
You mentioned just a second ago about the different challenges in terms of how to sell this and get people interested. And you said, oh, it has animals. And I mean this sincerely. That rooster is terrific in the film. And it's really, really crucial to the story, is that in terms of wrangling that, handling that, we hear about dogs, cats, horses, but roosters is pretty rare. And I guess I was curious about, is that one rooster? Is it a series of roosters? How did you get such a legitimately important, good performance? Yeah. Like, how did you get that?
Believe it or not, we had rooster casting. We eventually ended up casting for a family of roosters. They were sisters, brothers, and they were very, good behavior. The rooster you see on the screen is one Hindi, like the star. We call him one take Hindi. But we on the shoot we had different roosters. We had rooster wrangler, and we had the rooster to rest, because if it's not from the face, we can have another rooster. All that. So we had different roosters, but like the one that we have the performance is one take Hindi. But and it was funny because I'm not joking. I really started to understand when the rooster wants to crow, how to make it crow, all that. And I was like, if anything, I can become good babysitter because I babysit this kid so much, and I can be a rooster wrangler for other folks. But yeah, I mean, I really started to understand when they want to crow. And in the film, the rooster was playing a role too. He's a character. The way I wrote it was a character. And people from that region have lots of pets. It can go from buffaloes, dogs, cats, and roosters, whatever. But the rooster has a different meaning. They're also, in our culture, they're majestical animals. So with every crow, we say, every time a rooster crows, that's because they saw a devil or an angel. And every time the rooster crows in the film, it has a meaning. It's either introducing a good character, bad character, good incident, bad incident. And yeah.
Another reason to rewatch the film, honestly, just because I've seen it twice and I did not sort of pick up on that. As Eric mentioned, the film premiered in Cannes and Directors Fortnight, where won the Audience Award. You won the Camera d'Or, which is Best First Feature. This is the Iraqi official entry for the Oscars for Best International Film. But I was wondering how much the movie has been seen in Iraq. You mentioned the confusion on social media when you were filming that sequence, but how much has the film been seen in Iraq, and what has the response been?
We had the film in Iraq, released in Iraq, and the reception was very warm. And honestly, it's had a ripple effect. It is changing the industry in Iraq, so I'm very glad about that. But we're going to have a wide release soon, also in Iraq, and we're hoping that it's going to be, even more people will have access to it, because we still have cities that don't have commercial theaters. So we're going to do lots of community screenings, lots of, that kind of thing. But at the same time, even if you have 95% or 99% as hand sanitizer that says it kills 99.99, you will have that 0.1% of population. And I don't think this is also just for Iraq, but for the world, that are nostalgic for dictatorships, nostalgic for this kind of authoritarian regimes, because they, for some reason, think this is, a better time for them. So, for example, one of the also challenges we had, kids never met Saddam. They don't know Saddam personally. They know about him, but they don't know him. Then I went to my, childhood, and I knew I was scared of Saddam, but I really was more scared of my teacher. And I think that's just a universal meaning. So for them, Saddam, the teacher was Saddam, so they could relate to that. And working with non-actors is a tricky thing, because they cannot perform if they don't believe the situation. And what we had is how can I recreate this situation in a way that they can believe? So, for example, in the last scene, when the teacher shows the cake, I couldn't give them directions like, okay, look now into the cake and be interested. So the only direction I could give them was, I'm putting a certain amount of apple slices in the cake. Whoever can count them, how many are, is going to get an award at the end. So every time the teacher opens the cake, they're counting how many apple slices is on the cake. So that's how you just can get, these authentic performances. And, but yeah, the film was received well in Iraq, and it was very much an emotionally charged moment, because for the first time they see, Iraqi actors, Iraqi locations, real locations, the story that is recognized by audiences around the world is, something that belongs to them.
It's a great first film, but it's just a great film, period. So, Hasan and Eric, thank you for being here. There is a reception upstairs after this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here.